Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. Today I've got Fastbreak up. All right, so this thing came in. The main complaint was it's blown a fuse. And if you see the two wires on there, this was the solution somebody came up with. So anyway, we're gonna take care of that. But in particular, the guy told me it's the rear orbit, the loop diverter. So I just went to the test, and apparently that, I haven't looked at it yet under the playfield yet, but that's been disconnected in the playfield, because if it's connected, it will blow that fuse. So either that coil or its diode is shorted, and or the transistor on the board. Probably one or well, probably the transistor is blown, and very likely, well, there's a fair chance the coil or its diode is also blown. So that's the main thing. A couple other things. This little pop-up thing is not very strong. It doesn't shoot it up and around very well. When I first booted up, there was a couple error messages. That switch there isn't closing. And this is kind of, it's got the little micro switches right here, and click, 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 click. And I cannot hear it clicking, and I got a pen and pencil and stuck it down even further. This one is also missing. This one I already looked at a little bit. It's got the little buttons on the micro switch. Let me grab you one, I'll show you. This has got the real small micro switches in there. That little button that's up in there, that one is missing the button. And by the way, so you can get these micro switches, like this one's got that little armature, it just pops off. So I could take this one and stick it in there, you know, whatever. Anyway, so that's there's a couple other things. There's no tilt, right inlay switch, yeah. The right lamp, right loop, yeah. Oh, I wrote that down myself, yeah. So I think I'll start with, oh, and there's batteries in it. Yeah, gotta do something about that. I think I've got a NVRAM chip, so I may just pull that board and put in NVRAM, I'm not sure. But anyway, I think I'll start by looking at this loop diverter, and I'll start on the playfield just because it's easier to get to, and see if anything is shorted down here. Okay, so what I was looking at for, that is actually the loop gate, not the loop diverter. So I don't know where the loop diverter is at on this thing. Because I looked under the playfield and that was plugged in, so I'm gonna have to look around and see if I can figure. It's not that one, because that one, I've seen that work. When it first came in, I played the game on it. I'll start digging. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. I just going through the solenoid test, and you can hear that. That's the right jet pop bumper, and it's not going. I don't know if it works in the game or not. I'm kind of guessing it probably doesn't, so that's another thing to add to the list. All right, so here's the loop diverter. That coil looks pretty toasty. I'm betting it's shorted, and I'm all but certain I bet the transistor's gone too, but I'll get the multimeter and we'll check it. So it's 0.8 ohms, and my meter reads like 0.2, just touching the leads together, so it's definitely toasted. So, and this one does not actually have a diode on it. The diodes are somewhere else on the main board, so we'll have to check the transistor also, and try to find the diode associated with it on the driver board. So, but anyway, that is definitely toast. So by the way, I should have said, so I was looking for something like, say, between 2 and 20 ohms resistance. I mean, I could look up the coil exactly and tell me how much it is, but you don't really need to do that. If it's usually they're gonna be shorted. They're gonna be between 2 and 20, and then it's good, or it'll be shorted like that one was, or it'll be open, and that's about also. So so you're looking for something between 2 and 20, and if it's between that, you're probably all right. So anyway, my right loop diverter is transistor Q67. So we'll look on the driver board, find that, and see if it's we'll just eyeball it first, but we'll pull the board and look at it. But fair chance we'll be able to look at it and see if it's toasty. So that's Q67 right there, and it's not It doesn't look visibly bad. The good news is I'm gonna just bend this over a little bit, and I'm gonna, oh, it's up against that diode. I think I can reach this least from the top here, and check that transistor in game here. All right, so I'm in diode test, and most of these, if you touch the metal tab, that's usually the same as the center one, and this one is, you can't see because my hand's over the meter. So that's showing shorted. That's either shorted or that's because they're the same piece. So I'm going to touch the top one, 0.6. So you're looking for 0.4 to 0.7, that's good. And the other one is 0.4. So that seems good. Let's check another one that we can reach easily. Touch the center. Yeah, so the center is, just has continuity between the center and that tab. The top is 0.6 and 0.4. So it's the same as the other one, so it's probably good. Let's check its little diode there next to it. Oh, I'm glad I checked. That doesn't look right. Let's check this other one here. Oh, they're all like that. Okay, well, that's wild. Usually you can check these diodes in circuit, but these you apparently cannot. Huh. Again, these diodes, you're looking for 0.4 to 0.7, but in this particular board, you can't measure them in circuit. They're measuring, you know, like this one here. Let's see what we get. That's what you'd normally see. But all these are 0.049. That's crazy. I wonder, that's troubling to me that every single one's like that. So I think that's just the way the board is. So anyway, I think maybe the board's okay. So I think it's just that coil. So I'm gonna dig around and see if I've got that coil. If not, I'll put one order with Steve and have it in 4 or 5 days. I think I said 26,500. It's 26,1,500, and so I don't have that, but I got something really close. Let's see what. So I've got a. Nope, that's the wrong one. Somewhere around here. Here it is. Yeah. So I got a 27,1300. They're the same dimension. So, so that's the first number is the gauge of the wire. So this is a little bit smaller gauge, but it has less turns. So it has about the same resistance as this one. So it's safe to put in there. It's not going to, it doesn't have the same amount of, you look at it, just have, it doesn't have as much copper. So it's not going to be quite as strong as this one, even though, that's the way my understanding of it is anyway. I mean, it's small, it's a smaller coil. So even though you're gonna have the same resistance, so I could put this in there, but I'm tempted to do that because I don't have that exact coil. I may dig around a little bit more. If I don't, I'm gonna throw this in there and see how it does, because I kind of want to get going on this. In the process of disassembling this, and I saw that other pop bumper, and you can see the metal yoke is all busted and the springs falling apart, so it's just all jammed up down there, so that just needs to be rebuilt. So this thing's kind of a trick to get loose. I don't know if you can see in there, but if I can get the focus in where I want it. It's not going to do it for me. Anyway, inside there, there's the top of this mechanism, and there's a C-clip there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there's a little C-clip. So I guarantee you when I get that C-clip off, it's going, ding, it's gone. I've got more of those, so I could probably get it off. Getting it back on, it's gonna be a trouble with the ramp in place anyway. Oh, fun. Never mind, I just had to drop the play field. I can get it pretty easy from the top. I was just being silly. Just turn it over. Look, that little thing was a booger bear to pull out of there, and I didn't actually do that damage to it. It was already like that. To get it to pull out of that metal piece there, it's just like, even after the clip was out, it wouldn't come out. It just because it's all marred up. So I'm gonna get a file and deburr this thing. That metal, the ramp, it just went clunk when I finally got it loose. I don't know where it went. I'm gonna got a file here. I'm gonna just deburr this and replace this coil real quick. just trying to feel around with my fingers, trying to make sure it's smooth, because as much trouble as I had getting that out, I'll never get it in unless it fits in the hole easily. It's just been smacked so many times, it's got enlarged a little bit. All right. I think my soldering iron, I probably didn't need to undo that. Well, I can go ahead and take this apart while I got it here. But yeah, that coil sleeve is not going out. I'm going to just desolder this connector here. If I can find some solder around here somewhere, I'll run off with it. Alright, so let me go look for a coil sleeve here. I guess I left y'all running. Looks pretty good. Let me go get the nuts for this. Anytime you're putting something like this together, oh, that's kind of bent up. I should have straightened that. I'm gonna take this apart and straighten it up. I'm talking about this piece here. It's all bent. I didn't notice that before. Perfect. Alright, so that's ready to go back in the game. Okay, first mistake. Y'all see it? This coil is going to have to be rotated 90 degrees. And probably to the upside, because there's the connector there. So unscrew those two and rotate this so the leads don't stick off the side, because absolutely those things will get chopped off over time. Or maybe the first time. They might stay for a while, but over time they would get chopped off. Just got this thing in there. I was thinking, you know, normally you'd have a spring in there and bring it back down. Sometimes they're just wait, but so I looked on the schematics here, and I turn my light off so you can see there's no spring here in the schematics, so it does not get a spring. All right, I got it back in there. I'm just gonna actuate it with my finger here. So it looks like it's doing what it should be doing. So now the question is, I'm gonna boot the game up. I'm gonna plug it back in. And first question is whether it immediately blows fuse. I will say this. You know, people are saying that's an awful hack. Well, a regular fuse would be better, but it is I thought I looked. It's a 5 amp fuse. Let's see what F103 is supposed to be. F103 up here. It's supposed to be supposed to be a 4 amp, so it's close, you know, not horrible. Not a 20 amp. Whatever they've been using, it protected that transistor, protected the board. Didn't have to pull the board, so that's good. Didn't have to do any board work. Well, we think. So here's the question. When I boot this thing up, so let me plug it in real quick. I'll just do it right in here. I think I can do this one-handed, maybe. Okay, that's plugged in. If it locks on immediately, I'm gonna just turn it back off. Or you know, let me pull this fuse out so we can see it. If we see a flash of light. Oh, well, let's just, yeah, those were just kind of tacked on there. Let me go get a 4 amp fuse, stick it in there, and see what happens when we turn it on. Okay, I replaced the fuse. Let's turn it on. We'll kind of keep an eye on this thing, see if it fires up. Okay, nothing locked on. Yeah, it's going to tell me I got a couple switches that don't work, or it's not going to, but it would tell me that if I went through it. Let me go into test mode here. Loop diverter. I think I've got to turn on my solenoid power there. By the way, yes, to get your 50 volts, you got to pull that switch. So let me try to do it again. So that worked. So here's with the playfield down. So yeah, plenty of power to pop that up. Sometimes it's not going down. See, it's up, it's rubbing up against the front of the playfield there. I need to adjust it so it's a little further to the right, maybe a further back. Yeah, you can see it underneath also. See, it's a little bit away from me, rubbing that hole a little bit. So hopefully there's enough wiggle room with these so I can, or maybe even just, you know, bend that just a little bit. It's just got to have a little bit of room. Didn't like that. I put it in bind. Actually, I just bent that thing in a little bit, and that really freed it up. It just wasn't aligned this way. I think that's all it was. I may loosen those nuts and try to scooch it out just a little to the right. Okay, so after a little tweaking, now it's working great. So next, I'm going to take out the switch here. I'm going to unscrew it first, and then once I get it unscrewed, I'll desolder it and replace it. So I took those 2 screws off the bracket. So now you can see there's supposed to be a button right at the end of my thumb there. So there's nothing, the button's gone, or it's jammed inside of there. Either way, need a new switch. So I'm going to take these screws out, mount a new switch up here, and then swap all the wires over to the new, and put a new diode on the new switch. So before I do anything, I like to just go ahead and I just stuck a new diode in there, oriented the same way. I'm going to take it over the bench and solder it in, and clip the leads, and then it's less soldering to do up here in the game. And these I'll have wired through there, so when I'm trying to attack the leads, the diode won't fall off. So I've got the diode soldered on. I'm also just going to pull off this armature, because I'm going to use the other one, because there's 15 million different ones that could be. The trick is to get it off without breaking the little plastic tab, because then your switch is no bueno. They go on easy, they just snap on. They're kind of hard to get off without shearing it off. There we go. And there are 2 locations they can go in the first second, so you want to pretty much put them in whatever the one that you're replacing is going into. And I'll throw this back in parts bin. I might use it some other game. While I was monkeying with this. That white button came out. Either that or I just didn't see it before. I think it was just stuck down in there. Either way, if it got stuck once, it'll stick again. So I'm going to swap this out. So I've got to take this armature and put it on this switch. So it is in the inner little tab there. So I'm going to pry it off and stick it on this new one. So I got the switch in there. I'm going to switch test. And now when I hit this switch, you can hear it. Right, return lane. So I've got one more to do. I haven't looked at it yet. It could be a loose wire or something. I don't know. I guess I can look at it right now. I think, is it that one? Not sure. I think it's that one. That one right there, I believe. Yeah, I don't hear any ticking. The wires look connected. I don't hear, like, I ought to be able to hear the little click of the switch. Oh, I got it one time. It's not sensitive enough. I'm gonna do the same thing, swap it out, and see if that fixes. Well, it will fix it. I swap it out. So I got that other switch done, and next thing I'm gonna do is rebuild this pop bumper. You see the carnage I pointed out earlier. The springs that are sitting there. I don't know. I'm gonna take it apart. So to get these things off, you got to take off the 5 nuts. For the 3 for the base, and then the top and bottom of the yoke. So they're all the same. I won't make you watch this. There's 5 nuts up there, so this will slide off. And so there's a spring. Grab that. There's a plunger. And what the heck? I wasn't filming very well. Somebody has tried to make a plastic plunger. Surely they didn't use plastic plungers on this game. Or yokes. No, these other ones are metal. Somebody tried to... I don't know. I've never seen a plastic yoke. Yeah, that looks homemade. You can tell the way it's cut. So that's not going to work. It didn't. So anyway, yeah, we'll swap those out for some new parts, and it will live again. This is a good time to go ahead, and if you're going to adjust these things, the spoons, I can get that out of the way. Just looking for that. So it's pretty well adjusted. So anyway, I'm going to get a new yoke, and I'm going to use the upgraded style. Which are these metal ones that are 3-dimensional. They've got that vertical lip, which keeps them from snapping in too. Which probably what happened to the original one, and somebody tried to did a field repair. I guess it probably lasted for a while. But I'll throw this on there, and that pop bumper will live again. Well, I mention it. People like rail about the worst thing they hate doing the most is rebuilding pop bumpers. What they really mean is rebuilding the top of the pop bumpers, because when you rebuild the top of the bumpers, you have to cut or desolder these 2 wires that go to the lamp, and then resolder them, which is kind of a pain on most games. And a lot of times getting to the pop bumpers on the top of the playfield can be tough. You got to take off half wrap assemblies and all that stuff. On this game, it also would be a pain. But none of that is going to make it really perform any better. What I've taken apart here, 5 bolts, take this apart. It just takes a couple of seconds, and I'm going to take these last 2 screws out here, and I'll take this whole assembly and the old parts and put some new parts in. I'll take the old parts, put them in the parts washer, and new parts, and this thing it'll run like brand new. And this is actually pretty easy to do. If your pop bumpers are sluggish and I've heard it's a pain, it's really not. 5 nuts, and then you get it like this, and then 2 screws, and that's it. And you've got it completely disassembled, and you just wash everything, put in a new coil sleeve, and if there's any broken parts, replace the broken parts. A lot of times, this piece here, that should be metal piece. And if you put in a new one, get the upgraded style, and it'll never break again. And if you use the upgraded metal one, you need to swap out the fiber one also, so it mates up with it like that. So you can't use these old ones again. So anyway, but these parts are cheap. Anyway, pretty good thing to do that makes the pops just much more lively. It really adds the action of the game. So I was taking these other pop bumpers assemblies off, and this one here, you notice there's no nut. That's basically been broken off, which is so that one has the nut on there because that one's just snapped. So when you put these things back on, it's real easy. If you tighten those things up really hard, you'll snap those suckers. So just get them moderately tight. Fortunately, this has the newer style pop bumper bodies, which are skinny enough to slide a new coil ring around them without having to take the body off. To take the body off again, you got to rebuild the whole. You got to put the new lamps in there, which is kind of more of a pain. So I'm gonna take this apart and again replace that broken ring, and because it's only pulling one side, so it's never going to work well. Oh, so the same pop bumper that had the broken ring, it also had the metal plate, so it's going to get 2 new yokes also. Where's this one here? That one's intact. I'll probably go ahead and swap this one out. The other 2 broke. This one's on its way. Actually, look, that one looks like somebody swapped it. It's because it's cleaner than the rest of them. Just take all the parts and throw them in the ultrasonic or parts washer or wash them by hand, whatever you got, and replace all the broken stuff, and they'll work like new. So I got all the old parts cleaned up. I'm gonna replace all these yokes. I got them all sitting up here. So just reassemble all this stuff. Got some new sleeves in there, and should work fine. I'll have to take this off from the top side. I think I can just get to it by taking off the pop cap and then slide the new pop rings in there. So I'll let y'all see these pop bumpers and everything. Hard to. Got it stuck right there. That's a lot more action than there was. So I'm gonna monkey with this shot. Sometimes it doesn't make it all the way around. Probably just take that the sleeve out, clean this, put in a new sleeve, clean the plunger, and that'll probably take care of that. So this is the plunger that shoots it. I think if I just take out these 2 nuts, I'll have enough freedom to get this loose. We'll find out here momentarily. I'll certainly drop all these nuts one-handed. Yes. There's one. Yeah, I think I'll have enough freedom to get it out. Let's see. Yeah, certainly. So that actually looks fairly clean. The sleeve looks fairly clean too. Really, unless there's some alignment issues where that plunger's rubbing, I'll go ahead and clean this either way. Get it super clean. I mean, it looks sterling clean already. I don't think that's really going to help much. I will put a new sleeve, maybe put a slightly longer sleeve so that it guides a little further, so it doesn't get kind of jimmy-jawed in there. See if that helps. All right, I got it reassembled. I put a slightly longer coil sleeve. You can see it sticking through there. That's about a 1/2 inch longer than before. Just to better guide it. It's not going to obstruct anything. So, and everything, there's no friction in this thing at all. It's super slick. So if it doesn't work now, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. There wasn't any wear on the tip of the plunger. It looked nice. So I could maybe get a new plunger, but it doesn't look worn at all, so I'm sure that would help. So I'll fire it up and shoot a few balls and see if it makes a shot. The way I've lifted this playfield up and down a few times, I noticed this cabinet's separated right there. So I'll fix that here in a little bit. I guess I need to get into the test menu, or I'll just start a game. That'd probably be the easier thing to do. Oh, I'm in the menu. I'm gonna get out of it.
We're gonna see some action above the rim.
So I'm just gonna
pick your team.
Well, the first shot didn't quite make it. So the other thing I was thinking it could be an alignment issue where that plunger could be like not quite lined up with this, where the ball is hitting the rim. I mean, really almost need to film it and watch it in slow motion to see. That looked good. It shoots pretty quickly, and I'll tell you another thing that happens. Sometimes if the ball is rolling around and something like that, and if it hits while it's rolling, it'll hit the side of the ball. So it could be that kind of phenomenon where the code doesn't let it sit long enough. That had fully seated it and made it. I wonder if it's doing a toilet bowl sometimes, and that's contributing to the problem. I don't know. That's 4 or 5 in a row. That's definitely better, because it was like half the time it wouldn't make it before. I can't get it to not work now. Actually, the time it didn't go in, it basically hit it was a rim shot. It went around, it just didn't go into the hole. I'm calling that good for now. So I think I've got through my list. This game's pretty nasty. Not exactly sure how far I'm going to tear into it. It's got a lot of kind of hack job repairs, you might say. And so tearing into this is kind of a Pandora's box. The more you get into it, the more you're going to find. So I'm kind of hesitant to go too far. Definitely going to do the flippers, did the pop bumpers. I might do the slingshots also. We'll see. So I think I'll stop on this one for the day. So I just pulled these front 2 legs out of the evaporust, and they looked pretty sorry before, and they're almost like new. I was bolting them up, and then I was like, yeah, I need to take care of this cabinet edge here. But before I do, I'm gonna glue it, and I'm gonna get a ratchet strap and strap this thing together. So, you know, it's just a matter of re-gluing this joint. It's actually still glued. The bottom half is still glued. It's just the top half. So you can use wood glue of choice. I am actually going to use Elmer's wood glue. This is not as sorry a glue as you might think. Good carpenter friend of mine, he uses it sometimes on his work, professional work. What he tells me is this stuff works well if it's a good fitting joint. Now, I wouldn't say this is a perfect fitting joint, but the one thing that it's low viscosity, it means it's runny. I can get the stuff to get down in there because I don't have very good access to get the glue in there. And I think this will be runny enough to get in there. I've got some other, more traditional Gorilla wood glue, but it's so thick, I'd have a really hard time getting it down in that joint. So I think this will be a better solution for this particular joint. So I'm just gonna pry it out. I might get a screwdriver and hold it open. For certain, I'll have 2 hands and get it in there. Maybe get a dowel and extend a toothpick dowel and prod it in there as best as I can. So I ended up finding a hole punch, a slightly bigger version of this one. And I'm just gonna see how much I'll need to get something to poke around with. Too big. So I just got these long toothbrushes, just kind of work that down in there. If you can get the glue in there, then it'll be strong. So this is just kind of helping to pump it down into the slot. Still difficult. I've got it down to about here. I'd like to get it all the way down if I can. I almost need to get some tape and tape this up so it has to go down and can't start leaking outside. Making progress. I keep putting in more glue, so it's going somewhere. It's not coming out the inside, I know that. I can only see it here on the outside, but down in the middle it's going down deeper. Now, well, this is some exciting video right here, I'll tell you what. Maybe I'll stop this and start it again on fast forward. All right, so I got the ratchet strap on there. I'm just gonna tighten it up. You can see it squeezing all the excess glue out of there. And I'll wipe that up. And it is Friday morning, and that can sit there until Monday morning. So the next thing I'm going to do is get rid of these batteries. It doesn't look, I mean, everything looks clean. Somebody has swapped this battery holder out at some point. But so there was probably some corrosion on the old battery holder, but I don't see really any corrosion on the board. But it's just a matter of time until somebody forgets. So I'm going to swap this chip out with this NVRAM 6264. And on these WPC games, depending on which version, the W3 and W6 are populated. If it's a 6264 or if it's the other version and those jumpers. So this one is set up for a 6264, so I don't have to mess with those jumpers. But just be aware, if you go to PinWiki, it'll tell you which one. So I'm going to start by just pulling this battery holder out, and then I'll desolder this here. Actually, that solder's fairly fresh. I don't hardly need to freshen it up. I think what I'll start by doing is snipping the top of these off so I can get my solder sucker down to the surface. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get these desoldered. And, you know, it's not absolutely necessary to desolder them, but the problem is you don't know where this game's going to end up. It gets in somebody's hands and they say, oh, battery holder, stick batteries in it. They don't know that this is an NVRAM. And then, you know, so just get rid of it. That's what I'm going to do. I think these things would almost fall out if I had this board suspended. This one's going to be the problem child because it's got all this copper trace around it, so yep, it's stuck a little bit. I think I got it. Just trying to wiggle all these, break them free. There we go. Okay. Yeah, they look fine. All right, so now make sure I take the right socket out. I'll take out this socket right here. If you think I'm checking a lot, it's because I have done that. Go through all the trouble and take out the wrong socket. This you want to be, these boards are kind of delicate, so you want to be delicate. Minimize the amount of time. On each pin if you can. Another thing you can do is not do what I'm doing, going in a row, because like a lot of these pins are joined together right next to each other. So if you do every other one or something like that, you kind of spread the heat around a little bit more so you don't concentrate it as much. A little bit less likely. But I'm pulling this sucker out so it doesn't, and it's going to go in the trash, so it doesn't really matter. The real issue is not messing up the pads. So I want to just not use any much more dwell than I need. So these are coming out pretty nicely. I think I'll put y'all on high speed. So the next thing I like to do is for each one of these pins, just give them a wiggle and see if they're free, and if they're not, break them free. Like that one is just barely stuck. These are actually pretty good. That one's a little bit, because I don't want to mess up these pads. Actually, I think this thing is pretty much completely free. You can see right there, that one there is not. Oftentimes, you know, one of the corners is going to be ground. I don't think that one is, but it's stuck. There, I think I just got it. I believe I did. I don't know if I'm going to resolder it and resuck that one instead of ripping that pad off and regretting it. I don't know if you can see that, but it sucked down in there. So I believe it cleaned it from the other side. I think it did. Let's see if that comes off a little easier now. There it goes. All right. And yeah, it's marked on the board which way the chip goes. So I'll get a socket, put in an NVRAM. Find a socket for that. I didn't have a socket specifically for this size chip, so I'm going to use some of these jobbers. You can just cut them off to fit right there. I like the pre-made sockets better because these, when you solder them, they can be in or out a little bit, and you gotta and so it's easy to solder them in slightly askew, and then then you've got an askew socket. But it's nice to have some of these around when you don't have the socket you need. I'm just holding this in with my finger on the back of the board. Oh my gosh, that's ugly. I'll fix that in a second. See right there, I just bridged those two. You gotta be look out for that. My other roll, my thin roll of solder, I left it in a game somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I can't locate it at the moment, so I'm using this thicker solder, which is too thick to be working on this board. But until I find my other solder, which probably, it may not even be in, it may be gone forever because it may be in somebody's house. I'm not sure where I left it. I've got some more on order, but you know, that was my only roll, that was my last roll of the thin stuff. This is 0.05 inches, and it's a little too big for doing this kind of work. Makes it more difficult. Just trying to eyeball these, make sure none of them are bridged. Any little specks of solder, you can kind of sweep them up with a hot iron. got them fairly straight. Let's see if that's going to... So they're a little too far splayed. They usually are. So I'm just going to fold it over just a little bit. Okay, they're all in. I got the right orientation. All right, so I think that's complete. So I can put it back in the game, see if it blows up. So I got the board plugged in. We'll do a smoke test. Here, if I can get it going. I see some LEDs. Bookkeeping, so it's factory restored. So yeah, that's all because it's basically lost its memory while the battery was out. And so I'm going to turn it off and turn it on again. Actually, well, I can't. I guess I can. If I reach inside here. I've got to open this door so I can see what's going on. So let me enter the test. Jeez, somebody cranked up the volume. So I'll set the time and date. All right, I'm gonna turn it off and on again. See if that holds. That went a leg. Jeez, I was focused on the wrong thing. Okay, I'll turn it back on again. All right. Yep, okay, cool. And we don't have a credit dot because I got the time and data set for whatever, 1991 or whatever it was. Anyway, so that took, so got those batteries off, and those will never corrode the board. So today I'm going to do a shop job on this, which is going to include replacing this ramp and this ramp, but not include replacing this ramp. But I'm going to take this ramp off because I want to rebuild that pop bumper. It's just, you know, it's pretty horrible looking, and getting there and clean it up. So basically it's going to be a pretty deep tear down. I'm not going to tear everything down, but all this stuff on the top, all the ramps are coming off, which probably means all the shots are coming off. Anyway, I thought I might just go ahead and put you on the stand. I've already started a little bit, but I haven't got much off. I got this little lane here, and I started to disassemble that, but I figured I'd put you on time lapse. If anybody else is taking one of these apart, you can see me struggle at it. All right, well, that didn't take very long. I don't know, maybe 15 minutes or so. I bet it takes longer than that to put it back together. Anyway, I've still got to take a little bit more down. This game's already LED'd. I'm going to take some of these plastics off and clean them a little bit. But this is about as far as I kind of want. I'm going to take these pop bumpers apart and rebuild them completely. So they got to get completely off. But about as far as I really want to get down to it. I'm going to put new rubbers on it, give it a good cleaning. You see all the parts here and just nuts and bolts. They're actually, normally I would try to keep the hardware a little more organized than I did on this one. I didn't that much, but there really wasn't that many different types of hardware. There was, there just wasn't. There's like 6 or 7 different types of bolts and nuts in here, and so it's pretty kind of where it fits. That's where it goes. There weren't too many different lengths and things of that nature. So anyway, when Jane gets in here, I'm gonna let her do scrubby W on this. I'll probably go ahead and rebuild these. Y'all don't need to watch that because you've probably seen me. If you've watched my channel, you've probably seen me do that before. And I guess I'll stop filming for a while. So I decided to tear it down a little further. I went ahead and took off all the rest of the plastics, pretty much. I'm gonna take off some of these posts too, like that post there. Man, at first I thought that's a weird looking post, and I was like, yeah, it's weird looking because it's all broken up. I don't know if I've got any orange posts. I'm sure I don't actually. What I might do, I might put a red one in some place that's really easy to get to and order an orange one and put it in there sometime in the future, but I don't know. Or maybe hide a different color one in some place that you can't see at all. So anyway, this was the only weird thing. So you had to take this apart to get to replace these rubbers. And these two here don't have a connection or easy. I didn't see a plug for them. It runs underneath a board underneath the playfield. So I think what I'm gonna do, to get this off, I'm just gonna cut it, and I think I'm gonna have to I'll probably take that nut off, that bolt off there, and then I'll just take a rubber and squeeze it around there and put it on. Actually, what am I thinking? I can just, yeah, it's got to go around the whole thing because it's got to go around that wire. Yeah. Well, otherwise the wire, no, it doesn't actually. Yeah, it does. Otherwise, the wire is going to be pushed out on either side, and it's going to get hit by the ball. So the wire really does need to come out through the rubber. I'm going to look one more time underneath to see if I can find a connection to unplug, but I could not find one earlier when I looked. I'm going to look a little harder now. So those 2 sets of wires, which are actually 4 wires, come out that hole. One's that orange and black, and they go underneath that board, come out, and that's one of them right there, and this is the other one right here, and they just go into the harness. So I don't know. I'm just gonna have to work with it. So finished cleaning this thing up, waxing it, started putting the new rubbers on it, put the plastics, redid the pop bumpers. I'm gonna start putting everything back on it. This was my last layer to take off. I've already started putting that on. I like to take things off and put it in bins and layers because that's actually more important than where it goes. I can figure out where it goes, but it's like the order of operations, what goes first, second, third. That's actually the harder thing to do. And more important, actually, because if you get one of these that goes to the bottom and you forget it until the end, yeah, you're kind of screwed sometimes. So we get all these, and then the rest of it goes on top. And I got all the old plastics down there, and then I'm gonna probably have to spend a lot of time taking all the stuff from the old plastics and put them on the new plastics, like that flasher there. That's gonna have to be, I don't know if that's one. Yeah, that's one I'm swapping out. So it's gonna have to be de-riveted and re-riveted on the new one. So that's a fair amount, but for now I'm gonna start putting together what I can. So I finished up with the first layer of plastics, and before I take on all the rest of that, I figured I'd go ahead and get my new ramps put together. I'm using this right ramp. I'm going to reuse this one, but the other two ramps, the left one in the center, I've got to kind of, so this is the new left one, and this is my old left one. I should turn around, see a little bit better. See, this one's kind of got a little blowout. They're nice that they got the stickers. The only thing I've got to do is I've got to take this bracket, put it here, and this bracket, stick it here. These are riveted on, so just get a big bit and drill off that lip, and then just pry it off, and it's not too bad. And then this is actually, it looks like there's two ramps right here, but that's actually one because it's just broken. But the good news is this new one here that replaces this one, is zoom back a little bit. It's got most of the hardware already riveted on. So like that piece, there's already one on there, and that piece, there's already one on there, and the flaps there. It's got the lamp holder even, or the flasher holder riveted on there already. So all I gotta do is unscrew that dome, clean it off, and stick it on there. The stickers came separately. That sticker is in the bag somewhere. So I gotta stick that sticker on there. I do have to move this piece over to here, but and these were originally riveted on, but there are screws and nuts right here. I may just go ahead and rivet that on like originally, because frankly, it's easier than screws and nuts. And there's also another set of screws and nuts here, because there's what, I don't know if that's like a hull sensor. It's some kind of sensor that senses the ball going through there. And again, that was riveted on there. And so they give you this hardware, which little tiny Allen wrench head, or is that Allen wrench or star? Either way, to mount that into here. So even that bracket there is already on there. So this is from Starship Fantasy, I believe, of these ramps. So really the only, not much hardware I've got to move, just that to there, and these two to there, and then obviously I got to move the two sensors. But on this one, I only got to just screw it in. This one I've got to de-rivet it and then screw it in. So I'm gonna get after it. Oh yeah, and then there's this piece here, and they've got it just stapled or zip tied here. It looks cloudy because it's got a protective covering over it, and just take this hardware and remount it over here. So I was in the process of sticking these and under the bottom side of here, and then I realized those holes are drilled through, but the sticker covers them up. So I am going to get this little cheapy Harbor Freight tool good and hot, and just melt through that sticker real quick. Probably gonna have to change hands here, because I can't do anything with my left hand. This gets much hotter, it's gonna start melting out of the handle, because this is a super cheapo tool. It's not gonna take much, just kind of waller it around in there. Perfect. Let that cool down and back to it. So this little standoff here, which the ramp rests on there, it was a little too tall, the stock one. I was wondering if that's actually supposed to be there. I looked on pictures on IPDB, they are. And actually that's the one that came, there was one that came with the ramps. I was like, why did they put that in there? This is the original one, and it's about, I don't know, 1/4 inch longer. So the stock one is about 1/4 inch longer than the one that comes with it. The one that comes with it makes it fit a lot better. So I think that's some attention to detail. That's pretty cool. So if you order this from Starship Fantasy, that's where it goes. At least I think it does. That's where it's going on this one, because it makes everything work a lot better. I did notice one error on these ramps. These two holes here, I was bragging about, they're already riveted in. Well, this one, the hole is not drilled out big enough. So the screw that fits in there, too big to go through there. So I'm gonna have to drill that out just a little bit to get the screw in there to bolt in. Just had an oh shit kind of moment. I just found this laying in the bottom in here. It was just like, couldn't really see it because it's clear. And I bet that goes underneath some of this stuff. I don't know where it goes at the moment. I'm thinking it probably goes down underneath here. I don't know. I haven't even cleaned it yet. I have no idea where it goes. I'll tell you when I figure it out. This is quite disturbing. So this goes under this ramp and under this one. I can slide it under this one, but I can't slide it under this one. It goes right there. That hole. Anyway, so I'm gonna take this ramp, middle ramp off and clean it and install it. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I got the little plastic in there. Had to completely take off the middle ramp, and I had to loosen this ramp here, which means taking that off, and taking the 2 little screws off there, so I could get the middle ramp out because it was underneath it. So again, it's order of operations, kind of keeping things organized. That's more important than where things go. I can figure out where that goes, but if it's too late, like this case, or right there, that one, if it's too late, it was too late. It just got buried in the bottom of the parts bin, and I saw the colored ones, the clear one was laying there, and just missed it. So finish up the top side. I think I did anyway. Oh, geez, I just saw that. That's real nice. Maybe I'll do something with that. I don't know why I didn't see that earlier, but I didn't. Yeah, that's gonna have to get fixed. I was getting all the connections that I pushed through, and I found this one. It's not labeled. When I went through everyone that I undid, either it was already labeled or I put a mark, like that one, I just put a line on it. This one was already marked. That one was already marked. I don't think I undid that one. A lot of them were already marked, and any of them that weren't, like I said, were not, I marked them. And this one is unmarked, so I don't think I undid it. I don't see anything around there. Sometimes harnesses will have connectors that aren't used. I'm hoping that's the case for this, because I see nothing. Wait, there's one. There's another one that's unplugged. I just don't know. Again, I don't think I unplugged that or that. The only thing in the back of the playfield, there was only one for that whole one set of wires, and it's one set, and they're both plugged in. And then on this side, there was that one, and it's plugged in. So there's nothing else down here. I guess we'll see when I plug this, get this thing running. I think first I'll go ahead and solder and heat shrink these 3 wires, because those are pretty ugly. All right, it's all up and running. I just did a couple of gameplays. I didn't see anything that wasn't working. I'm just going through the lamp test right now. Pop upper cap had one of the little posts that holds the little centerpiece up was broken. I'm gluing that at the moment. So I think I'm gonna end this video here. Still gotta do some diagnosing, just making sure all the lamps I believe are working. If you see something, yell out, say something in the comments. I think all the lights are working anyway. You can go through the flashers, do a solenoid test, or just play it. You kind of get the idea of the solenoids by playing it usually. Unless you suck like me and you don't get any of the good shots. So, anyway, if you like the videos, click like and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.